Shark Media.
From Milwaukee's Fiserv Forum, where seriously they credentialed this show, this is Ballot.
That's right. Somehow they gave me an all-access press pass, so I might as well use it. Let's hit this. Well, as you can hear, there's really no reason to be in a convention center this early in the morning. It looks like the Trump family has decided to turn this assassination attempt into a Hallmark movie script. Melania Trump, suddenly channeling her inner poet, described America as a gentle nation with tattered fabric. She went on to say that the assassin saw Donald as an inhuman political machine, which, let's be honest, is probably the nicest thing anyone said about him in years. Trump himself called on Americans to show their true character. I'm assuming he means the character we show when we're not storming the Capitol or tweeting at 3 a.m. Trump called on the country to show our true character as Americans, remaining strong and determined and not allowing evil to win. Which makes me wonder who he's voting for. The Russian propaganda machine is working overtime, churning out conspiracy theories faster than a teenager can type LOL. Apparently, the Democrats and Ukrainians have joined forces in a sinister plot to take down the Donald. Because when you think master assassins, you naturally think of the party that can't even agree on a lunch order and a country currently fending off an invasion. Stay tuned for more breaking news from the Kremlin's Comedy Club. Up next, how the CIA is using 5G to control your pet hamster. Everyone is talking about JD Vance. I thought JD and Vance were the replacement guys on season 5 of The Dukes of Hazzard, but no, apparently he's a real guy who could be the vice president. And if Trump gets elected and changes all the laws, he could be King JD reigning from around 2030 until 2069. The man who went from hillbilly elegy to Trump apology faster than you can say book deal is now a frontrunner for Trump's VP pick. That's right. The same guy who once called Trump reprehensible is now practically begging to be his sidekick. Even Marco Rubio is like ass kisser. Vance's journey is like a reverse Cinderella story. He went from Yale Law School to venture capitalism, then decided to trade in his glass slippers for a MAGA hat. I guess when the clock struck midnight, his principles turned into a pumpkin. Now, Vance claims he was wrong about the guy. Yeah, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with his Senate campaign or the fact that Trump's endorsement is hotter than a deep-fried stick of butter at the Ohio State Fair. Vance is the talk of the town, folks. He's young, he's eloquent, and he's from Ohio, a state so swingy it could host a 1950s dance competition. But let's not forget, this is the same guy who once called Trump America's Hitler, which, come to think about it, sounds like a singing competition on Fox. But hold your horses, because Vance might just be 2024's Chris Christie. You know, the guy who thought cozying up to Trump would land him a cushy White House job, only to end up with a case of COVID and a serving of public humiliation. It's like political Squid Game, but with less subtlety. Vance's journey from Yale Law to MAGA cheerleader is more twisty than a pretzel logic at this convention. He's gone from criticizing working-class culture to claiming he's their champion faster than you can say cognitive dissonance. But here's the kicker, folks. Trump likes to pick his team based on who looks the part. And let's be honest, with that baby face and beard, Vance looks less vice president and more hipster barista who'll lecture you about coffee sourcing. So, will Vance be Trump's chosen one? Or will he join the long list of hopefuls who've been Trump dumped? Stay tuned, folks. In this political circus, the only thing we can predict is unpredictability. And maybe a few more flip-flops than you'd see at a Florida beach party. Well, folks, it looks like The Daily Show is pulling a French exit on Milwaukee faster than you can say cheese curd. Jon Stewart and his merry band of political satirists have decided that covering the Republican National Convention from ground zero is about as appealing as a Wisconsin winter in July. They've opted to watch the spectacle from the safety of their New York studios, where the only thing they'll have to dodge are overzealous interns and stale bagels. The show cited logistical issues and the evolving situation in Milwaukee as reasons for the change. Translation: we'd rather not be in the splash zone when things inevitably go off the rails. On the other hand, they aren't in an empty arena like I am right now. Meanwhile, the pod bros at Pod Save America are being all whiny again. Why, did someone tell them to show up at a convention center at 3 in the morning so we could get a podcast out for morning rush hour? Folks, we've got a real soap opera brewing on the left, and it's juicier than a Wisconsin bratwurst. The Pod Save America bros are in a tizzy, and it's not because they ran out of craft beer. Jon Favreau and Dan Pfeiffer, Obama's former word wizards, are feeling the heat from Team Biden. Apparently, these elitist pod bros had the audacity to suggest that maybe, just maybe, Joe Biden might not be the strongest candidate to face Trump. Cue the gasps. Biden's team fired back, essentially calling them out-of-touch Ivy League snobs who don't understand the scrappy kid from Scranton. Because nothing says man of the people like being defensive about your blue-collar cred while you're checks notes. President of the United States. Pfeiffer, bless his heart, tried to keep his cool but ended up dropping more F-bombs than a sailor at a stub-toe convention. He's effing infuriated that Team Biden thinks this is personal. Newsflash. Dan, in politics, everything's personal, especially when you're criticizing the big cheese. Meanwhile, Favreau's so worked up you'd think someone stole his kombucha. He's telling Biden to focus on beating Trump instead of picking fights with podcasters. Bold strategy, John. Let's see if it pays off. We'll have plenty to make fun of this week. Folks, we've got a real smorgasbord of speakers lined up. It's like someone threw a dart at a wall of celebrity headshots and said, "You're in." First up, we've got Dana White, the UFC head honcho. Because nothing says presidential, like a guy who organizes cage fights. But wait, there's more. Amber Rose is speaking. Yes, that Amber Rose. She's gone from calling Trump an effing idiot to jumping on the MAGA train. Next stop, Crazy Town, watch the closing doors. Even JD Vance is like sellout. And don't forget Savannah Chrisley from Chrisley Knows Best. Because when you think criminal justice reform, you naturally think of reality TV stars whose parents are in prison for fraud. It's like Orange is the New Black, but with more spray tans. We've also got some UNC frat bros who protected a flag. Because if there's one thing this country needs, it's more insights from college guys who peaked in their sophomore year. And of course, Donald Trump Jr. will be there, probably to remind us all that nepotism is alive and well in American politics. Meanwhile, don't forget that whole Joe Biden should pull out subplot as the Pod Save America guys try to encourage Joe to post his resume on ZipRecruiter. Portions of today's show were made with the help of AI, apparently including the part of reading today's schedule and missing the nothing is happening yet part. More from Milwaukee tomorrow, but maybe a little later in the morning.